Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We have arrived in Act 8 and we are done listening to the lore. Patch 301 has landed and Harbingers are supposedly improved. So let's dive into the lovely little toxic conduits that we now find in the western side of town. And let's go looking for a Doedre Dark Tongue. So, back in the sewers, but they're a little more toxic than we remember them. And let's see if it fares us better this time than it did in the beta. Because these areas are tough. So, something I didn't mention in a couple of the previous videos, which I've finally done, is I'm experimenting a little with the skill layout. So for at least this episode, and maybe even for the rest of the act, we'll see. I'm playing with summon skeletons on a totem. So the totem will automatically summon skeletons for us, so we don't have to. So basically all we can focus on is moving around and casting Dark Pact, and the totem will take care of the things. Okay, I must say the coastal clouds are not as... they don't feel as harmful as they did for my shadow. Though of course I'm currently at -4 chaos resistance, and the shadow did have the extra resistance penalty, which is now in effect in after Act 10, already in effect, because in the beta you got it after Act 7. So we're a little bit better armored against poison, but not by much. So these zombies, they leave a caustic cloud behind. If you don't really have a lot of chaos resistance, it's gonna hurt you more than when you do. And it's a good reason for actually having some chaos resistance. Other than that, we have battalions of minions that we can just send to their death, which works pretty well. Means we don't really have to get our hands dirty. Let's see, lingering abominations. That's the first set of uniques we're gonna encounter today. If we kill enough of them, we get a towering abomination. Yeah, look at it. That's a big zombie. It wasn't even part of the achievements list. That is too bad. So, the spell totem, summon skeletons, minion life, and minion speed, because of course we really do want our skeletons to move over to the enemies as quickly as possible, even if they keep getting resummoned and therefore they're gonna be closer to the enemies anyway. But in this case they are just Dark Pact delivery vehicles, and if the existing ones can move around faster, that's just gotta be good. Because of course we only have a single spell totem up at a time, which is gonna be the skeletons, it didn't really make a lot of sense to also bring a wither totem, because I'll be casting Dark Pact all the time. I didn't really think it was useful to be manually casting Wither either, because it only lasts for 4 seconds after all, and basically you need to be continuously casting it in order to get the full bonus of it, and that just doesn't leave any room for Dark Pact itself. So I replaced the entire 4-link Wither totem. Ooh, there's a volatile there. That's got quite some reach. With a dedicated setup for our zombies. Minion life, minion damage, and Raise Spectre is back in the game. Or it's actually, well, it's part of the build now for the first time this series. Because it didn't really make a lot of sense, because I didn't have space for it previously. So we're running around with 2 Spectres, which is just going to be whatever interesting we encounter along the way. And for now I did the Elrion mission during the warm-up, so I got some a goal and a mortuary experimenter that has corpse explosion, so that is pretty cool. Now, corpse explosion with bone offering might not be the greatest of combos, I just now realize, but we'll see. I've done a couple of daily missions with it, and I have ran through the warm-up area, the sun ramparts, a couple times. And so far the totem setup works pretty well for me. Can't really complain about it. And it is nice not having to cast my skeletons first. All I do is just pop down a lovely little totem. And after that it is fire and forget. And because, of course, as a Necromancer with Mistress of Sacrifice, my duration is already extended, I get a totem that lasts for 10.4 seconds.
Come to me, Exile.
And
let us speak of death and desire.
Once we get Potency of Will, that's only gonna get extended further. So it's eventually gonna be like 13 or 14 seconds where we don't have to think about recasting that totem. So she's sending us over there, so let's backtrack a little bit. Find and revive corpses. I'm a Necromancer, I can revive corpses, but need to be corrupted, so she's a little bit picky about it. Oh, wait. They have to be murdered, of course. Oh, come on, yes, that's one. And there is another one. Lovely. Super Goliaths, straight from the mines. Got some lovely little explosive stuff. The thing that radiates out from us every once in a while is the Edict of Fury that we got in the Cruel Labyrinth, in case that confused me. Or confused you, that is. Confused me as well at first. It's like, wait, what's that? Oh, wait, yes, of course. Lab thing. These things are nimble. There we are. Katrina, yes, yes. Good. Level 4 and a bit. Let's see. We're here. Might as well just tag the other extremity. Let's see if we can find ourselves a hag. Because of course, for our cooking recipe, for cooking with sin, we need essence of the hag. And apparently, sewers are the best place to find it. Oh yeah, the Ray Spectre gem is not the highest of levels. So, just leveling things along. And that one is gone. Okay. With the totem you do lose the option of manually deciding where you cast things, so there's that. But in general that's not too big a deal. You can always recast your totem in a different place to just affect where it's gonna put the totems. Since I think it usually tries to just cast towards the nearest enemy from the totem. So if you put your totem in harm's way, it's generally gonna cast minions more closely to it. So to a certain degree you can control where the minions are gonna pop up. And of course it's a slightly slower cast because the totem is casting it and it has a 30% slow casting time as a part of it being a totem. Still, it's generally pretty fast. Okay, I don't think I like you very much. Never really liked those things. So if you're playing a dual totem build, then of course you'll have a totem, a skeleton totem, or manual totem, manual skeletons, and Dark Pact on a totem as well. But in this case, it's just an experiment. I think it's a little too crowded there. Okay, final room. This is where Doedre hides. So in the beta, I did not manage to face Doedre once without dying. It's a very tricky fight. It's a very gimmicky fight. The mechanics of the fight, I completely glossed over it the first time. So we're gonna get locked into a very small room, and there's gonna be a lever at the cauldron. That lever is going to reactivate every once in a while, and if you twist the lever, then the mechanics of the phase are going to disappear and it will shift to the next phase, and there's 3 phases that will cycle through. It seems like a good strategy is to basically just keep turning the lever to keep resetting the phases to prevent them from getting out of hand. If you're playing a melee build that is chasing after Doedre, that's gonna be less fun, because it's difficult to balance. In our case, because we are ranged with minions, I think this might be easier, but let's see. So, this is the valve. And she's a flying squirrel now. And she is physically blocking the outside. First cycle is with these blood boil things. Then the second phase is going to be the toxic green one that summons minions, which explode upon death. Wow! I thought I twisted the lever. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Purple. Lovely purple. Which gets these lovely toxic cloud things. Okay, let's go there. So in our case, we have the minions do all of the dirty work, which really, it almost feels like cheating, but it works. So we can focus on the mechanics of just not getting murderized. Because frankly, it's a pretty good mechanic. And given the fact that she summons things, teleports things, and generally does quite a lot of damage, yeah, you not getting no close to her is actually a pretty decent way to not die. But yeah, this is a very dangerous fight, and especially because she does have a habit of teleporting on top of you. Those clouds, I believe they were slowing you down. Okay, this is a first. But just as a reminder, 2100 life, 1500 energy shield, and mind over matter with another 800 mana that I can use as life. This is 36, 4400 roughly effective health pool. And I really did nearly lose it all early on in the fight because she teleported on top of me. This is a very dangerous fight. This one is probably already on par with fights like the Reso on Merciless previously, where targeting 4000 health was also one of the things that was pretty advisable to do. This one is dangerous. Just be prepared. Be very, very prepared. Let's listen to Sin.
Once more into the breach, and once more we return victorious. Although I have to admit, I did not relish the sensation of imbibing that foul witch's soul. I felt decidedly unclean. Still, our journey nears completion. To the north lies Highgate, and the cessation of our efforts to extract the dark ember from my dearly departed beast. And none too soon. Every hour, Kitava's strength grows, and the longer he and the other gods dwell on this land, the less is humanity's chance of survival.
That is a little bit gloomy. So, and this gets us to the second part of the toxic conduit, which has the waypoint. So effectively, it's an area with 2 parts. You have the part that you enter from town, that we just played through, and then in the boss room. Actually, you go through here, then there's the boss room. That's probably also somewhere in this instance. And then from the boss room, you exit over here. With the waypoint, you go over here, and then you cannot go back once you get a new instance. So it is not easy to just go back to Doedre via the tube. You really do need to go from town and just clear it over and over again. So let's have a quick chat with folks in town, and after that, continue with the next quest.
These owl eyes of mine have been watching the sun goddess from afar. The sun orb lies within her temple, guarded by her most ardent devotee, an exile who, in his insanity, has taken to calling himself the Dawn. That orb is the seed that must be stolen from this new son of hers and planted at the feet of his ancient mother. I've been keeping a close eye on that exile-turned-sycophant who calls himself the Dusk. Dusk carried the moon orb into the Lunaris and has not returned with it, not as far as I have seen. No doubt he clings to that orb like it's his adopted mother's own nurturing breast. If you were to wean him from the teat and place that orb at the bereft mother's feet, we may yet see the moon itself fall.
Okay. Hagen.
You'd suppose someone as crafty as Doedre would have kept her ugly head under wraps as soon as she saw you coming. I guess death robs us of many things, including our common sense. In any case, thank you. The sewers can run clear now that there's no fetid witch clogging up the pipes. Here, have a little something to commemorate your fine clean-up job.
Oh, a lovely little ring. I mean, our rings are getting a little old. This one has less resistance than the pyre, which we're only using for the resistances, not for anything else. Let's see. Actually, this one has some built-in resist plus some bonuses. They're both mediocre. Let's at least go for something with some fire and some cold.
Tell me something. Any chance you might be willing to join forces and turn a healthy profit with old Hagen? You ever heard of the Wings of Visteri? Not just another damned artifact. This one was the highest symbol of the Office of the Meriketh, held by the Sechima of Sechimas. History books will say the wings were last worn by Sechima Asenath, the Golden Sechima, the one who went and got herself murdered by Hector Tertusius. The only problem is that Tertusius himself is up and guarding his pretties once more. Still, if you can recover those Wings of Visteri, then I'm confident I can sell them back to the Meriketh for a fair sum. They're a cultural icon after all, dripping with sentimental value. What do you say?
Sure. It's always a pleasure doing business with you, Hagen.
If you're gonna be in the antiquities business, it pays to take note of whatever history you can. High Gardens and the great Emperor Azaro, for instance. Have you heard of the Lord's Labyrinth? The High Gardens were designed by Azaro as a test run for his great work. He turned his personal garden into a maze and filled it with all sorts of traps and nasty beasties. Convicted criminals were then given a choice, death or the garden. If they got through, an imperial pardon was theirs. Weren't no pardons on record as far as I can see. That's what happens when people have too much time and gold on their hands.
Talking about unfair systems.
What little humanity General Tertusius was born with, he traded in for strength. Went as far as to have Malachi replace his joints with virtue gems. Mad bastard. Afterwards, Emperor Chittus charged Tertusius with subduing the Meriketh. A job he took a little too much pleasure in, if you ask me.
Okay. So I think we might have picked up a thing or two. Yeah, exactly. So let's have a look. Not the armors I'm using. Not a spellcaster thing. Not really. I already have better spell damage. This was the thing that Hagen gave me. I understand why he gave it away. Not really that great. Okay, so that's some currency. Then I'm pretty confident that Clarissa will have something to say.
Exile, you've helped me before. You can help me again, can't you? My hope waits for me to the east, tucked away in a shrine in the Key. The Ankh of Eternity. Veruso, Prima Imperialis, placed it there himself at the dawn of the Empire. If the legends are correct, The Ankh has powers over life and death. When paired with the correct Asmerian ritual, I've learned the ritual. All I need is the Ankh of Eternity, and I know I can bring Tolman back. Properly, this time. Will you retrieve the artifact for us? I've tried, but the creatures around the shrine... simply too dangerous. Yes, Tolman, I'm getting to that. I've already prepared a site for the ritual out in the Key. Please, meet us there with the Ankh, so that I may yet breathe life into my dearest love.
So, the Quay is pronounced Key. Proof is here. They actually pronounce it as Key. So, no more confusion. This is definitive proof. And I think last time I missed lore from Hargan about the Ankh. So, let's
there you
look.
go.
There we are. This was the one I missed in the beta.
A word of caution. That Ankh. It might have had some miraculous powers, but I bet there's a nasty reason why Veruso hid the bloody thing away. I've tried to warn Clarissa, but her ears seem as dead as their boyfriend of hers.
Okay, so there's a
Bring me back something nice.
little bit ominous there. That's indeed... Yeah, well, it's a little bit ominous. Nothing from you, anything from you, Sin? Nope. Okay. Well, I know that, so from here on out, the Toxic Conduits, they have two exits, one to the left, one to the right, one towards the Lunaris Temple, one towards the Solaris Temple. And they're gonna go via the outer edges of the town. But there is enough to do in the areas in between here and Solaris and between there and Lunaris that they're just gonna get their own episode. So it's gonna be a slightly shorter than a normal episode, but that way we just got a nice little episode for each of the side areas coming up afterwards. So for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.